All right. It's March 6th, 7:12 p.m. here in sunny Capitol Hill. Was this like the 5th episode of the Armchair Podcast? The 6th episode? I don't know. Sitting here with Antoine. We were hanging out with Mauricio last night. I finally posted the last week's podcast, one of them anyway, for y'all. But anyway, so we were talking with Mauricio on that last one and got to hang out with him. Went to Clever Dunn's. Let's see, got some free drinks over at Sam's, but don't tell the owner, right? Anyway, so I guess we'll get right into it. Antoine's obviously, well, not obviously, but he just said he's not feeling up to it today, but he's sitting right here, so might be a slight brain drain, right, dude? Yeah. Anyway.
So tired.
So tired. You might have to speak a little bit louder. I might have to move.
You see it? I'm so tired.
Move a little bit closer to you.
So sleepy.
So fucking. Anyway. So I guess we'll dive right into it. You said you were talking about that OJ thing, right? Or earlier with the knife.
Yeah, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everybody probably knows by this point that the knife for O.J. Simpson's trial was found. Apparently, like some contractor at a construction site found it, told the cops, and the cops, the cop who came to the scene to check it out, didn't report it until, like, finally he was gonna get it framed, and like a dumbass, he asked what the case number was, and everybody's like, "Wait, what knife?"
Fucking stupid.
I know, right? But I mean, like, am I really surprised though? Like, especially like you were saying, like, oh, if I did it, he basically like openly admitted it, right?
Yeah, that's why the judge fucked him, if I remember right, when he did that stick up at the hotel for his football. And then when he got caught up for that, from what I heard, the judge was basically like drilled him with that just for the sake of him being guilty previously.
Right. I pulled up a PDF of if I did it, and like on like I guess like page 2 of the PDF, the author's note says, "If I did it, this is what happened." It's like, okay, man, that's fucked up. Like, all right, I mean, we all knew that was like the concept of the book, but like, man, chapter 1's like titled "The Luckiest Guy in the World." What the fuck? I'm going to tell you a story you've never heard before because no one knows the story the way I know it. It takes place on the night of June 12th, 1994, and it concerns the murder of my ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her young friend Ronald Goldman. I want you to forget everything you think you know about that night because I know the facts better than anyone. I know the players, I've seen the evidence, I've heard the theories, and of course I've read all the stories. That I did it. That I did it, but I don't... Wait, hold on. That I did it, but I don't know I did it. That I can no longer tell fact from fiction. That I woke up in the middle of the night consumed by guilt, screaming. Man, they even had me wondering, what if I did it? Well, sit back, people. Things I know and the things I believe, you can't even imagine. And I'm going to share them with you.
I don't know, that intro kind of made it sound, put it in a different perspective, because the way they showed it on the TV and all that, or the media, was that it was like him flaunting around that he got away with it, and basically like in like a under the radar way saying that he did it, but that makes it sound like he was just expressing how he was all twisted up from being like disturbed by the accusations and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it can go either way. You can say like, well, he's just writing that so you think he didn't do it, or if he did that, if he actually did do it, or if he didn't do it, then that could be totally honest,
Yeah, that just doesn't sound as like flamboyant as they made it sound. It seems like if he is trying to be like, is flamboyant the right word for that? Like out there, like in your face, kind of like.
I guess in this context it works.
Like boastful or whatever. I don't fucking know, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But like fucking. Yeah, they made it sound like he was just like, throwing that in people's face, like, "Woo, I got away with it in your face." Like, I'm not gonna admit it, or entirely admit it, but you get what I'm saying, guys. Like, but it was more like I don't even really get it from that, unless I read further, and there's like, it opened up to him basically going there. But from that intro right there, I didn't hear anything along the lines of him admitting anything or insinuating anything along the lines of him actually doing it.
Yeah. I'm like, I basically hit Control F to look for the word knife, any instance that it mentions the knife. And, let's see what it came up with. Okay, so like this might take a little bit, but like here's like the third result when I typed in knife and got in under the Control F function. Anyway, apparently he's hanging out with this guy named Charlie or whatever, according to the book anyway. You worry too much. What if she's with someone? She better not be, I said. Not with my kids in the house. I reached into the back seat for my blue wool cap and my gloves. I kept them there for those mornings when it was nippy on the golf course. I slipped into them. "What the fuck are you doing, man?" Charlie said. "You look like a burglar." "Good," I said. I reached under the seat for the knife. It was a very nice knife. A limited edition. I kept it on hand for the crazies. Los Angeles is full of crazies. "Nice, huh?" I said, showing it to Charlie. "Check out the blade." "Put that shit back," Charlie said. You gotta go in there and talk to the girl if you have to, but you're not taking a goddamn knife with you." He snatched out of my hand, pissed. "You gotta learn to relax, Charlie," I said, and then I opened the door, got out of the Bronco, and stole across the alley. Nicole's condo was one of 2 units, both of them long and narrow, mirror images of each other, fused at the middle. They each had their own entry on Bundy, and they each had a back gate in the alley. Nicole's back gate was broken. The buzzer didn't work properly, and the gate opened if you gave it a little push. I must have told her a million times, please get the goddamn gate fixed. But the woman never listened. I slipped past the gate into the narrow courtyard and moved toward the front door, and right away I noticed the lights flickering in the windows. I moved past the window past the front door to take a closer look. There were candles burning inside, and I could hear faint music playing. It was obvious that Nicole was expecting company. I wondered who the fuck it was this time. I wonder if maybe Faye was coming over with some of her boy toys so that they all get wild and dirty while my kids were sleeping upstairs. Just as I was beginning to get seriously steamed, the back gates squeaked open. A guy came walking through like he owned the fucking place. He saw me and froze. He was young and good looking with a thick head of black hair, and I tried to place him, but I'd never seen him before. I didn't even know his name, Ron Goldman. "Who the fuck are you?" I said. I just came by to return a pair of glasses," he replied, stammering. "Really, a pair of glasses, huh?" "Yes," he said. He was carrying an envelope. "Judy left them at the restaurant. I'm a waiter at Mezzaluna." "So it's Judy, is it? You're on a first-name basis with Judy." Let's see, was it... No, it wasn't Faye. Okay, at the moment the gate behind Goldman squeaked again. Charlie walked into the narrow space, and he was carrying the knife. "Everything cool here?" he asked. I saw this guy walking through the gate, and I just wanted to make sure there wasn't going to be any trouble. "This motherfucker wants me to believe that he's here to dropping off a pair of Judy's glasses," I said. "I am," Goldman said, appearing increasingly nervous. He held up an envelope. "Look for yourself." "And then what?" I said. "You're going back to the restaurant?" "No," he said. "My shift's over. I'm just leaving these here and going home." He continues to argue with him a little bit. He points out that there's candles and all that shit. And, they're arguing about that he's there for Nicole. Suddenly, the front door opened. Nicole come outside, blurred by the voices. She's dressed in a black cocktail dress. And she was shocked that, they were arguing with each other. Looked at Charlie. Charlie stood between Goldman and the gate and was barring his way to the front. What the fuck's going on, OJ? Nicole says. Basically, it turns into a shit show. Like I said, it turns into a shit show. Apparently, like, he shoves her to the ground or some shit like that. They want to bail. Apparently, like in the text here, he's basically admitting to like wigging the fuck out and saying like that he like essentially just like wigged out and stabbed the shit out of him after like basically he shoved Nicole down and like she wasn't moving, and then like Ron Goldman was like getting in this like karate stance or some shit like that. And then he just like wigged out and fucking stabbed him, and then I guess like stabbed her or some shit like that, and came to and was like, man, there's so much fucking blood, essentially.
So he did admit that he stabbed the shit out of him?
Again, this is if I did it, supposedly, but I mean, like, if you're reading the text, you're like...
So this is a hypothetical... He's saying this is like a
hypothetically, this is what happened.
That's weird. What's his, like, objective? What's his said objective of this hypothetical?
He said he wigged out because, like, fucking his girl was, like, fucking this guy.
Well, no. Why? What is his, like, in this book? Like, why is he making this hypothetical story?
That's the whole question everybody's been asking since this book came out.
Okay.
And now the knife has been found. I'll have to, like, go through and, like, edit out all, like, the silent audio that we had there for, like, a few minutes, but, or, like, not minutes, but seconds or whatever, but, anyway, essentially, yeah, like, and now the knife's been found, supposedly, and everyone's, like, wondering, like, okay, maybe if I did it, puts a little bit of context into, like, did this shit actually happen or not? Be awesome if it answers the fucking question of the century, right? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Fucking Nancy Reagan died. You probably don't give a fuck, and I don't really either.
Yeah, I don't really. Only because, I mean, somebody died, that sucks, but she doesn't really have any significance to me. I don't know of her too much. She's just some lady. Wasn't that one of the... She was the president's wife who said, "Just say no." Oh, then fuck her then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was like this long-standing rumor that she was like back when like Ronald Reagan was like the governor of California. She was known for like going all around like Hollywood and sucking a bunch of dick, like like celebrity dick, but still.
Why?
But, just because she liked sucking dick, I guess. I don't know, man. There's like a Too Short song that even was like talking about like getting a blowjob from Nancy Reagan. It's just like, I guess it was like a known thing in California, like, or like a very popular rumor.
Wait, so there's a rumor that she actually literally was sucking dick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like a bunch of celebrity dick.
I thought that it was fucking like as a figure of speech, like she was like doing the politician thing and like mingling with the celebrities and yada yada.
Nope,
like.
fellatio. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, like, I mean, the fact that she died, like, okay, I'm like, all right, that sucks, but, whatever, no big deal to me, but, like, no significance to me either.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to talk about, like, how Mexicans are geniuses and how basically every breakfast food...
Every dish that they created is a fucking breakfast, boils down to being a breakfast food.
Yeah, I could agree with you. I mean, I agree with you on, like, just the genius of, like, Mexican food, but, like, I always wondered, like, too, is it, like, Mexican-American food, or is it, like actual authentic Mexican food? It's not always, like, breakfast food.
What do you mean if it's American food or I mean, American, like, Tex-Mex or fucking...
Well, you know how, like, like, Chinese restaurant food is, like, essentially Americanized versions of the Chinese concepts, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Mexican restaurants that, I mean, they might, like, kind of like Korean joints are notorious for not giving you the spiciest. I don't know if I think it was Korean. But anyways, a lot of Oriental, in general, restaurants, if you're, like, clearly American, then, like, for example, like, just suit and tie white guy or something like that, they're not gonna fucking... You can ask for the 5-star, but they're not gonna give you the real deal, legit 5-star. They'll be like, oh, this is 5-star, but it's, like, white people.
I've always wondered about that, because the 5-star never seems that hot.
Yeah, it's because they don't want you to, like, be like, oh, shit, this is hella hot, and never come back. And fucking... they don't
Got what you asked for, right?
Yeah. And, fucking... But, yeah, they might... I don't know. I think a lot of Mexican restaurants are, like, obviously, unless they're, like, one of those really corny,
Like an Aztec or something.
Yeah, where it's, like, white people working there, and, like, they're, like, wearing a sombrero or whatever. Fucking...
I've never been to a restaurant where somebody wears a sombrero, but that sounds awesome.
Well, no, I'm just, like, picturing, like, like... You ever been to a Chinese food restaurant? That's, like, the one on 128th? Ming Dynasty, I think it's called, or something like that. It's right by
yeah. I know, right by the Albertsons, right?
Yeah.
I've never been there.
Like the whole staff is white, and it's like a fucking... It almost seems like a truck stop joint or something.
Yeah. I had there was a chick that I was kind of messing around with who said she worked there for like a week or two, said it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, like... There's one time they gave my dad, like, some really burnt whatever the fuck chicken or whatever, and it was nasty. But, I mean, generally it's, like, it's, good eating, but it's not, like, Chinese food.
I wonder if it's still there. Keep going, though.
But, yeah, but then I think as far as, like, a lot of the Mexican restaurants that I've been to are mostly, like, Mexican-ran restaurants with Mexican staff and Mexican cooks, and, it's, like, they're, fucking, they're not... I wouldn't call them, like, I mean, I haven't, like, been to Mexico and had, like, fucking genuine, like, mom's homemade tortillas and shit like that, but, I think maybe if they weren't authentic, it would be for the purpose of just, like, appealing to the local customers and all that, or consumers, but,
Sure.
I think 95% of the way that the same place would be, like, mostly authentic shit,
Holy shit, Ming Dynasty is still there.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fucking weird.
It is weird. It's like, I've never gone there, but I know fucking people go in there, obviously, because they're still around. That little strip on 128th between, like, 4th Avenue and, like, I don't know, East Gibson Way is just squirrely.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that new McDonald's, they changed the exterior after that bank robber and his bank robber wife or girlfriend or whatever hightailed it to there and got cornered, and the dude fucking got his brains blown out by like 10 cops.
Was that like back in like 2005 or 6 or so?
Something like, no, I think it was 2003 3 or 4.
Sure, but they didn't change like the exterior until like several years later. Like
I'm pretty sure it was immediate.
No, I was working there. Like they changed like a little bit, but like if you're
I forgot you worked there.
yeah, but like if you're looking at Google Maps like we are now, that's the McDonald's on like 128th, and fucking right next to the Albertsons. Anyway, point is, they didn't change that shit until like after I stopped working there. Like the exterior, like they like kind of touched it up. But it didn't look anything like what it looks like now.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't see it here, but I thought they added like copper paneling on the sides or something like that, and like I could have swore it was pretty soon after. But if you say so, I mean, you worked there.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They added like little bits of this and that, but it was essentially the same.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, that was gnarly. The dude like, it was like suicide by a cop. Basically, is what I heard.
Yeah, I didn't even know what was going on.
I actually walked past. Oh, were you there too?
No. Like I was off that day, but like I just like happened to be like walking up to the Albertsons, and I saw like this new chick that I later got to know, and like she was walking up to like the payphone, like crying. I wanted to talk to her and be like, hey, what's up? But like, I didn't realize that like she was crying because she just like was like there and like the cops opened fire on somebody. I didn't know any of that shit was going on. I didn't see like a bunch of cops. I didn't see like a bunch of commotion. I just saw her on a payphone like, oh my god, come pick me up, mom. You know, like, what a bitch, you know. But like not realizing like until like later what actually happened. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I actually walked past with my dad because we were going to get like some beer or something like that, and fucking, there was like a shit ton of cop cars.
Wait. You and your dad were getting some beer?
Yeah.
Like together?
Yeah.
He was willing to buy you some beer?
No, he was buying beer. Actually, that night, honestly, it was my sister and her friends were drinking and shit, and then he was like, oh, I was like 13.
But he knew you were gonna have some of this beer at some point, right?
Yeah, he ended up having. It was like just before, just after we got back.
Okay. That just seems like an awesome.
I got to have a deucer, I think, of Mickey's.
Yes. All right. Anyways, so continue.
But, yeah. And we were walking down there to the Albertsons to get the beer, and we walked right up that sidewalk right there, and we were just like, oh, what the fuck, like, whole fleet.
Did you see
of
like
cars.
a body sheet?
No, I didn't. I don't know if it was like if they already cleaned the shit up and they were just like wrapping it up or what, but
probably.
But there was still a shit ton of like flashing lights out there.
Yeah. Yeah. How did we even get from like Mexican food to that? I don't know. Anyway, point is, so like, I mean, you know.
The Ming Dynasty.
Oh yeah, the Ming Dynasty. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, fucking, yeah, man. What were you saying though about like Mexican, you know, like food. Chileans and like?
Well, Mexican food has like fucking. It's basically like a similar type of food as I mean a similar way of doing food as like Oriental food, because it's fucking like every flavor combined in balance, and fucking you get savory, sweet, sour, spicy, salty, all that shit all together. And fucking, you know, Chilean food from what I hear is like fucking potatoes and like, you know, they don't even have like tortillas and shit like that. They have like fucking empanadas and, you know, instead of burritos. Like, I don't know. I don't want a potato fucking wrap thing. Like, you know, I mean, I'm sure they're all...
Are you saying you don't like pierogi?
No. I was going to say, like, pierogies, and I've had empanada, like, once. Like, they're all right, but they don't, like, compare to, like, Mexican food and fucking...
Yeah, true.
And, like, that's just the funny thing, is because you'd assume that since they're all, like, Latin countries or whatever, that they're Spanish, you know, with Native American, you know, culture. But it's not like, not Native North American, but Native American. Like, there's Native South American.
Yeah. I mean, they're still Americans.
The indigenous with the Spaniards and yada yada.
Yeah.
You'd think that it would essentially be the same thing as fucking, you know, or similar enough to Mexican food, but it's, from what I've heard in every case, it's not. Like, it's like, yeah, it fucking sucks. Like, they only have, like, this, and this in their, you know, food, and, like, you know, it kind of reminds me of my buddy in elementary school. He was Puerto Rican, and every time I'd go over to his house, it was really good. Like, it was a really good dish, but it was the same dish with, like, this, it was kind of, like, bland, but, I mean, you know, like, the opposite of Mexican food. Like, Mexican food is just, like, fucking flavor explosion.
Right. I mean, I expected you would say it's kind of bland. Not that that's, you know, to me a bad thing or anything like that, but, you know, I kind of got that impression from some South American food.
Yeah.
But bland can be good. I mean, like, you know, I find delicious flavor in just like a basic Caesar salad with, like, you know, I mean, if you do the ingredients right, like you get some like really good like feta, or like, I don't know, some kind of like just amazing cheese, and like, you know, you do the dressing right. I mean, a basic salad can be amazing.
That's not bland though. I was gonna say. Then you're getting like, I'm saying bland is like the English, for example, beans on toast. You know, like, there's not much flavor there. It's just kind of like, blah.
Well,
like,
you can make beans taste really good.
Yeah, if you spice them up Mexican style and fucking, or you know, like you know, you're gonna kick it up a notch. You know, it's not just gonna be beans on toast. Like if you make mashed potatoes and you throw some garlic in there and shit, it's good. But if you just have like a baked potato with no sour cream or anything on it, you know, it's just a fucking baked potato. That's what I consider bland. You know, like. But you fucking, like, that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, sometimes you just want that bland, though. Like, munch on some crackers or, like, some toast and butter or something, you know? You're like, that's all I want is some, I just want to keep it simple right now. But for the most part, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather go with something that's, like, Chinese food or Mexican food. That's at the top of my list. That always works.
Thai food's pretty good, too.
Yeah, Thai food. Or Indian food.
Yeah, Indian food definitely, for sure.
Those Indians, they got fucking spices mastered.
Yeah, oh yeah. You said something about Colombian food sucking too, but I mean, I guess we kind of covered that topic with just like, I mean, but okay, so like I was going to counter that with like, okay, so I was talking about this off the mic, but so I had a family member who I guess like lived in like Argentina for a few years, and he got like super fat. Well, not super fat, but just like big for him, I guess. Anyway, point is like, I guess there's like not all South American food is like super bland. I guess just some of those like more like farmer countries might be like a little more plain.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I don't know. Colombia though, that's like a little. I mean.
I'm not saying they're exclusively farmers, but like I'd take them for like a lot of farming.
Yeah, I think that's like northern Colombia, and then is like the backwoods of Colombia and shit like that. I know, and then there's like where my dad, you know, goes is like Medellin and shit like that, which is, as far as I know, is like the city over there.
Well, yeah, that's, you know, again because of like partly because of the cartels and all that shit, but probably that's because like it's also just probably one of their bigger places.
Yeah, it's like the big city over there.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, my dad, he goes over there a lot, and he's like a big foodie, and like I think he's like a chef and a cook and all that, and
right.
And then on top of that, he loves Colombia, and he likes, you know, everything about it. But he was like, I was like, oh, something brought up the topic of food down there, and he's like, oh, nah, it sucks. Like, he's like, I hate to say it, but yeah, there's not really much here as far as like good food. Like, he's like, the meat is like, I can't remember, he said it's something along the lines of it's questionable, and as far as the quality, like, not necessarily that it's like ground rat or anything, but it's like just kind of like really low quality ground beef and shit like that.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask you what you meant about that when you said that earlier, because it's like, do you mean like, is it like about to go bad, or is it just like, we just got some chuck beef and fuck it?
Yeah, it's just not really quality stuff. It's not that it's bad or rancid or, you know, anything like that.
Yeah, sure. I could see that. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you're not like really that picky, like whatever, I mean, it could work. But yeah, maybe it's maybe like high in fat and all that shit like that. All the grease is still in there and all that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm down with some greasy ground beef. I don't know how like.
Yeah,
I guess
but then there's like the super grease where you're just like, damn, like everything's just like.
I think what it is over there, like you can imagine, it's probably like a different way of raising, totally different way of raising their cattle and shit, and a totally different like breed, probably, you know, and it's like. It's probably almost like wild cow or something like that, you know? Like, fucking... That's what I would imagine. Of course, that's just, like, basically in reference to what I've seen on TV. And, like, you see, like, you watch a movie based in Colombia and you see, like, a skinny, like, cow with ribs showing and shit. Like, that's, like, my, you know, my reference point is like TV basically, so I don't know really.
But the ribs are the good part.
Yeah. There's not much meat on them, but tastes fucking delicious.
When you do them right, yeah, oh yeah.
Still going on the stereotype, like.
Oh yeah.
Or the stigma of like the.
Yeah. I got
underfed cattle and all that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I'm vaping over here, so I'm fucking like a little slow. Apparently, Bernie Sanders seems to be losing. You know, I guess like just to dive into politics a little bit. I know you said you're not really up on it, but it seems to be losing. I wish that wasn't the case, but you know, just like mostly just because it seems like he seems to be like a real person, more so than Hillary, who just kind of comes off as you know, just kind of like, I'm just saying the right thing, like. You know, it's a very calculated, like, I've got, you know, my response, and, you know, like, I'm gonna, you know, and you're just like, shit, just quit talking through your teeth, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is, like, even, like, it's calculated, but then at the same time, it's that same broken record, like, politician broken record, like, you know, like you were saying, just saying what the people want to hear, and, like, it's, like, not even fucking... Like, you'd have to be kind of an idiot to, like, not come up with... I mean, even if you're going to bullshit somebody, at least come up with something new and, like, a new sheet to pull over our heads. Like,
yeah.
You know, not that stinky old one that we're going to know you're coming at us with.
Wow, good metaphors there, man. Pull a new sheet over our heads and the same old stinky one. Those are good metaphors.
Yeah. That is. Thank you.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, but that's the thing. Is just like, I don't know. It seems like she's got it in the bag, nonetheless. I don't know what else to say. Fuck, I mean, you know. But I don't know. I guess I kind of said this last night too. It's like, what if? Just what if? It's like like a long con, where like, like Trump's like, okay, the Clintons helped me make a bunch of money back in the 90s or whatever. I'm not really serious about running, but I kind of like the attention. It's going to make me a bunch of money. It's going to make the Trump brand strong. And then, you know, like once she wins the Democratic National Convention fucking, I'm gonna take a dive.
Yeah, that's fucking insane though, because I mean, like, even if, like, I don't know, that's kind of like, I mean, I understand any publicity is good publicity I mean...
Yeah. To guys like that, there is no such thing as bad press.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, he's a business guy, you know? Like, he's not just a celebrity. Like, before being a celebrity, he's a business guy, you know? And fucking, like...
Well, I mean, everything so far is in line with business. Like, I mean, a lot of business guys, like, even at the instance of, like, the KKK, wouldn't really balk at that stuff. Like, oh, he's in line with the KKK? We kind of are, too, but we're not going to, like, you know, talk about it, but we're not going to also, like, you know, back out of, like, endorsing him.
Well, no, that's the thing. You'd think that a lot of people would, you know, back out of it just because, even though they personally don't give a shit, you know, or they might even be with it, you know, but they're like, oh, this is going to lose us money if we're, you know, guilty by association, you know. Like Nike dropped somebody.
Right, Pacquiao for that gay statement.
Yeah, and I mean, that's like, they're like, you know, they're in it for the money, but they got little Chinese kids overseas making, you know, a penny a year or whatever the fuck, you know, and with like little broken fingers and shit, sewing in the shoes, you know. But I mean, so obviously they don't give a shit, but you know, it's all about the money. And when it comes to the money, like, who's buying those fucking Nikes? People that do give a shit about what Pacquiao had to say.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, and that's a good point. But I think like so far, even the KKK thing, like what Trump's business isn't like something that like everyday Americans consume. So it's not like, you know, like Apple just fucking, you know, or like you said, like with the Nike example, like a lot of people buy Nikes. Not a lot of people buy anything related to Trump. I mean, like, there is like, you know, stuff that, you know, like, you know, maybe like a small percentage, like the population might buy or have something to do with Trump because, like, I think he's done like a lot of properties, like the casinos, you know, I mean, like business offices, that kind of stuff. But other than that, like, if you're not in those circles, then most Americans probably wouldn't have anything to do with you anyway, right?
Yeah,
so it's not a big loss even then.
But I mean, I was gonna ask that is like, what exactly? Like, I know he's Mr. like he's fucking rich, you know, and he's famous for being fucking rich. But I never heard actually what the fuck he does.
Let's hit the old wiki here. See what they say.
And I know he's got his fingers in a little bit of everything, but I mean, it's like, you know, at the core, originally, like, what was his thing, you know?
Yeah. Let's see here. Donald John Trump, born June 14th, 1946. American businessman, politician, TV personality, and candidate for the Republican nomination for President of the United States in the 2016 election. Chairman and President of the Trump Organization. I'll probably have to click that in a second to see what that says. Trump Entertainment Resorts, a gambling and hotel enterprise. His business activities, television work, outspoken manner, and personal life have made him an international celebrity. Let's see. Occupation. Chairman and President of the Trump Organization, Chairman of Trump Plaza Associates LLC, Chairman of Trump Atlantic City Associates, host of The Apprentice. The Trump Organization is a privately owned multinational conglomerate based in Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan in New York City. What does it do? Has interest in real estate development, investing, brokerage, sales and marketing, and property management. So I mean, yeah, unless you're like basically like in that sort of business, you know, I mean, there's a lot of money to make from it, but you know, it's not like fucking a pair of Nikes where everybody buys Nikes.
Yeah.
I never looked that up. Oh, did you want to take a look at that? My bad.
Yeah, I was kind of like half listening, kind of tuned out a little bit. I was thinking about a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. But yeah, while you're reading that, I guess. Let's see what else we got here. Pull up the desktop. There we go. All right, so I'll rant on this while you read that. Here's the mouse. Anyway, all right. So I guess while Antoine's here reading the Trump thing. So I've been talking about this thing having to do with Shay Taylor on where he was killed by the police and just off of Lake City Way, like in like literally my like old neighborhood. That thing is still ongoing, but I think one of the things that's kind of been brought up as an issue is that the police were quick to mention that he had a criminal past, which, you know, that criminal past included rape, among other things. I think there were like some B&Es and some other stuff like that. I'm not looking directly at his criminal record, but definitely rape was on there. I remember that. Anyway, point is like, but you know, I mean, you know, just like the strangers mentioned, just like some of the officials involved in this case have mentioned, just because you have a previous criminal history doesn't mean that you necessarily deserve to die. The point in question being, did he or did he not reach for his gun, and were the police justified in shooting him? And so in that, I'm taking issue with that. Was it justified? Not necessarily his personal history. It sounded like I've already criticized him for being like one of those pretty boys, and pretty boys in my mind typically tend to be straight up douchebags. And so far, I mean, sounds like it's kind of true. But in any point, did he or did he not deserve to die? I guess. We'll find out hopefully soon. Maybe there's like body cam footage on these cops, but there's been no
Who
indication.
is it?
Oh, he's just this guy who just got shot. Supposedly for like he was gonna do a drug deal. The cops moved in on him. I'll show you the dash cam footage like later, but essentially like they moved in on him. Supposedly he reached for his gun, but you can't see anything, and opened fire on him. So I don't know. Enough on that, I guess. Moving on. Let's see. This was in one of the headlines on CNN today. The inventor of email, or widely credited as the creator of email, Ray Tomlinson, died at the age of 74. I don't know. Like it makes so much sense, like the natural extension of technology and like, the concept of sending an email, et cetera, et cetera. So a little nod to that guy.
I just think it's weird how people, because like I'm not super tech savvy and all that, and a lot of people bring up that like a lot of old people aren't, tech savvy, but then like all this tech shit is like invented and like still has like a lot of the original tech guys involved in the shit. And then like I've met a lot of or seen a lot of people that are like 80 fucking years old and are typing away on their fucking gizmos and shit, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never actually seen, as far as firsthand experience, I've never actually seen the whole like old people not being in the loop with technology and shit like that.
I've been surprised myself. There was when I was living in a different spot on Lake City Way like a few years ago, like around like 125th Street in Lake City, roughly. There was this, I think she was like in her 70s or so, but this woman that was living across the complex from me, and she was like one of those original computer assisted designers, like CAD designers from like way back in the day. And
shit.
She was like showing me like some of the stuff, like okay, like like the designs and stuff like that, like some examples of, like stuff that she assisted in. I was like, holy shit, like you're an OG on computers. She even like knew like I think Linux and like Ubuntu, and I was like, holy, I don't even know that shit. I mean, I'm not like some super nerd by any means in the sense of like I'm gonna like learn Linux or Ubuntu, but the
Are those people, or is that some sort of program or some shit? Or like...
Yeah, they're different operating systems. So like you can run on Windows, you can run on Apple, or you can basically be a little bit more of like a code programmer and operate off of like either Linux or Ubuntu, and and have a lot more like I guess desirable traits in those programs for yourself.
Okay.
Because you can just straight program it to be how you want it to be, I guess.
You just have, it's way better, but basically you have to really know your shit to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's kind of like that whole dark web thing, or deep web, not the dark web, but the deep web is like, from what I
think the dark web and the deep web are essentially the same thing. It's just some people call it the dark web because of like shit like Assassins for Hire.
Exactly, that's like the dark web is like specifically like the bad side of the deep web or whatever.
Okay, I got you.
Or the black market of the deep web type deal.
I can see that. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, from what I collected, I might be wrong. Like I said, I'm not into like the tech shit, but
no, you sound more right than me on this one.
But yeah, that's like that shit. Like it's kind of like a weird backdoor to the tech thing, but at the same time, or as far as tech operations, but then at the same time, it's a lot more effective and helpful if you know how to like get your way or know your way around all that shit. But if you're just like me, just hopping on the fucking deep web or whatever, I'm probably gonna I already get a shit ton of viruses and stuff just trying to go on my porno. So
I haven't said your name right. I always have this constant paranoia that I feel like I've like slipped and fucked up and said your real name.
I don't think so.
Okay, good. In other news, Peyton Manning's retiring. I know you said you're not big on sports, and neither am I, to be real honest. I kind of want to include that a little bit more into this podcast because it's the Armchair Podcast, right? Like, what do people... Typically, you're like either an armchair politician or an armchair sports fan, so it's like, okay, I kind of want to include that a little bit. I definitely know my baseball, like the most of any sport. But then like I fall like it's like a significant drop off. Like the next best thing I guess would be football, and then like from there it's like basketball, and like fuck everything else. You know.
I don't know. I think as far as those sports like basketball, baseball, football, you know, all that shit or soccer where it's a ball going back and forth across a court or a field. I mean, it's essentially the same idea, but they're all the same difference to me. But I don't know. I've always liked soccer just because it gets really intense and they keep it moving nonstop and all that. And then same thing with basketball. Plus basketball is like the whole idea of like throwing, dribbling it around and throwing a ball into a basket that's way up there instead of, you know, and having to like make your way around people without them snatching it from you and all that, you know, and all the bobbing and weaving and everything. It's not just like football, you're like charging up and down the field, you know, like really like it's impressive, but then at the same time it's not as like I don't know, it's not as fun to watch for me. There's not too much really there.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I don't know. And then, it's weird, like, I guess on that point, though, like, I take interest in what's notoriously, like, one of, like, the most boring sports. I don't know.
Golf?
No, that's why I said one of the most boring, because baseball's, to a lot of people, pretty fucking boring.
Yeah, it is. I mean... that's what I was going to say. Baseball kind of takes the cake, in my opinion, for boring. But
really? Over golf?
At least golf, they got, like, some serious, like, you know... Like, that's crazy. That's fucking insane that they can make a golf ball into a fucking, like, what is it, like a 3 or 4 inch hole from, like, a fucking block away? Like, how do you do that shit?
You're talking about, like, hole-in-ones and shit?
Well, just golf in general. I mean, it's
like you find it a little bit more fascinating than baseball.
Fascinating. That's the word I would use.
I mean, I don't know. I actually got some decent golf lessons as a kid, and it's really just in terms of like swinging the club. It's a lot like when you swing a bat as you're coming around, your arms do this twist thing, right? And I mean, you definitely don't hold it like a baseball bat in any sense. So in the sense of like when you're coming through with the follow through, your arm does the same kind of twist like you would with a baseball bat, just like you would with a golf club. So you just got to manage that, you know, depending on like where you want the ball to go, that you hit it straight on. Just kind of like a pool cue, like same concept, where you're like, depending on like what angle you put on the ball, it'll deflect it in all kinds of different directions. So you can get like a cool shot where you're like, oh shit, I gotta go around these trees, so I'm gonna kind of hit it a particular way where like it'll clear the trees, but once it gets past the trees, it'll cut left or right or whatever direction that I make it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that kind of shit's cool. But I mean, like once you get the swing down, then it's just like, okay, figuring out like distancing, like how much power do you need,
yeah,
and then putting.
Exactly though. There's those ones where like that or like bowling and shit. Like bowling, not so much, but I mean like there's like really intense amounts of like focus and skill and like you know being able to eyeball and estimate like what exactly you have to do, and kind of like a chess game or something. And then there's stuff that's like really entertaining, like basketball or soccer, because it's like, you know, they're keeping the ball rolling, like it's nonstop, you know. But then there's shit like baseball or fucking football where they're just kind of like stop, and then there's idling around, and then they charge.
He's nodding off the pitch.
Yeah, and then they charge.
Yeah. And
it's like cool, like the most they have, the most intense shit they got going really is either people are getting tackled or, you know, they're sprinting. And it's like, I could watch the fucking, you know, like somebody sprint down a track or whatever if I wanted to watch, if that's what I wanted to watch, you know, but I'm not. I'm trying to watch, you know, a ball game. So if I'm going for a ball game, I'd rather go for something with like either entertainment or skill, you know, or both. And, you know, I think they kind of go toward what I'm with is either I'm fascinated by the outrageous amount of like skill, like golf or, you know, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I almost kind of like, I'm like, especially now, like I feel like I'm defending baseball a little bit, but I mean there is skill in it. It's just like one of those things where it's primarily a pitcher catcher batter game, and then the rest is just like, okay, making sure that you maintain that the other team doesn't score points, or you know, fielding the ball or being on a base. But I mean, you know, so like in that context, there's a lot of instances where like the pitchers aren't all that exciting, you know, whatever. I mean, they're just a standard pitcher where they get balls, they get strikes, you know, they got a slider, they got a screwball or whatever. But you know, there aren't like some of those like megastar pitchers. But you know, then you got dudes like Clayton Kershaw, like I was just gonna like I'm pulling up now, who's got like a fantastic curveball, and you're like, this is a good pitcher. Like, look at that shit. You like just like the setup. You're like thinking like that's way the fuck out there. It's, you know, it throws the batter for a loop every fucking time, and I mean, you know, obviously this is a compilation video, but it just goes way the fuck out there. And then some of these guys are swinging just on the pure fact they're like, okay, it's probably gonna get into the strike zone because they know they're facing a curve, but they don't know if they should go for it or not. But they're like, shit, I'm just gonna go for it on the chance that maybe I'll hit it.
Actually, just watching this kind of makes me want to watch a baseball game.
Yeah, I mean, when it's like an excellent pitcher, like, you know, some like a Randy Johnson, a Nolan Ryan, or like or even like right now I'm like as far as pitching goes, a Kershaw fan.
You know, that would be something fun to do, is go to a fucking ball game.
They are more entertaining in person because, like, okay, even if you are like kind of bored of watching the game, you can like
grab a beer and a hot dog and fucking
shoot the shit with your buddies. Yeah,
scream at somebody or be obnoxious.
Yeah, I guess at Safeco Field, like I haven't been to this section of Safeco. I went at the All-Star game back in like 2001, but otherwise I haven't been to a single Safeco Field game other than that. But I guess you can like buy a beer at like one of the gardens there, and like it's right by like the opposing team's like pitching mound practice warm up area. I forget what they call that, the dugout or whatever the fuck. Anyway, so I guess you can just like scream at these guys, just like, "Hey, you suck!" Get in their head and shit like that.
Fucking slam down half a beer and then continue.
Yeah, exactly.
Or repeat.
Until the security tells you gotta move on. But yeah. Anyway, so we got off on that big old like tangent or whatever. But yeah, Peyton Manning's retiring. I guess it's no surprise. Like I've been saying, like he definitely should, just so it ends on a high note. The Broncos just fucking won the Super Bowl. The only thing that would make it worse is if Eli Manning won like another Super Bowl himself, and like you know, because now it's like Eli and Peyton both have 2 rings, so it'd be like, oh, little brother got like a 3rd ring. Fuck, I retired too soon.
Is the Eli guy? Is he in football?
Yeah, Eli Manning's also football.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like the two of them, two brothers in fucking professional NFL. Like that is like, I mean, like you hear all the time. The stats are super low. For
Wait,
getting
so is
into the
Peyton
NFL.
Manning baseball or?
Peyton Manning's NFL.
Oh, they're both NFL.
Yeah,
that's
they're
still
both NFL.
pretty crazy.
Right, yeah, but I mean, like to get into professional sports, like your odds are pretty slim, and then you got like two brothers in the NFL. But yeah, that's but like that'd be crazy if Eli got the third ring and fucking Peyton's like, nah, man, I retired too soon. Anyway, all right, so we're gonna move on to an unscripted segment. Not that any of this is really scripted. We're just kind of winging it, but got our beautiful girls segment. Essentially, we're just gonna talk about like hot chicks and shit like that. So, I don't know, like get like a couple on deck that you can think of, like of different varieties. Huh? You don't have to talk about that, man.
Okay.
I'm just saying get a couple...
I'm just saying don't bring that one up because I'm just gonna shoot it down.
Well, no, man. I mean, like...
It's gonna... Then that would mess with the flow.
Yeah, no, definitely not. You don't want to make it too weird or anything like that, but I'm just like, we're just talking about hot chicks. Just get a couple on deck.
All right.
Let's see. I'm just gonna start off with.
Oh, and I gotta piss real quick.
Yeah, do your thing. I'm gonna start off with fucking Susan Sarandon, just for like the I will call it vintage hot chick rant, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so why Susan Sarandon? I guess I don't know. Well, I mean, she's an attractive woman. Duh, I know that. But I mean, like more like a I don't know. She's got that hot, like, I don't know, wholesome but gingery sort of look, whatever. And on top of that, she's kind of like, as far as like, like Hollywood movie starlets have gone, she's all kind of in my mind been like one of those women like Julianne Moore or whatever that's been willing to like take like more risks and do like nude scenes and stuff like that. And it's not like necessarily her body of work, like for example, like when everybody criticizes like Kim Kardashian or whatever, they're like, oh, she's only famous because of that sex tape, whereas like you get people who talk about like Susan Sarandon or Julianne Moore for that matter, they do mention the fact that they've done nude scenes or whatever, but it's not like like a big crutch of their career or something like that's how they got there is they did nude scenes to the top. But I don't know. There's something about it with Susan Sarandon and fucking when what was that, the Lonely Island did that song with Justin Timberlake. And they did the music video for it. They used her in one of the music videos, so I was like, okay, good call, Let's see here. So like I mentioned, Julianne Moore's pretty hot indeed. I guess in the porno world, like right now, like Mia Khalifa is just fucking killing it. I saw some article where like she basically came out of the basically fucking nowhere and like is now like one of the top porn stars. Yeah, Antoine knows what I'm talking about with the Mia Khalifa. Anyway, fucking who'd you have on deck as far as like because I think I've like gone through like 3 chicks now.
As far as like, since we're on the topic of porn stars, I think it's pretty crazy that Carmela Bing chick. Like, I remember there was a few porn scenes that I had on my DVDs with her, and
her name comes up a lot, but I can't remember what she looks like.
She's like jet black hair, super straight jet black hair, kind of like an Italian look.
Like this chick right here.
Yep, that's her.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Big boobs, big ass, fucking really fucking hot. And like the first scene, and then like like a handful of other scenes I saw of her were of her when she was like tall and like skinny, like looked like a supermodel with like big huge tits and nice ass and like fucking like really fucking amazing fit body. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm typing her name in on website or whatever, and fucking she's super fat and like chunky and everything.
Oh, I heard about that. And now she's doing BBW porn, right?
Yeah, but the thing is like everybody on the like forums and shit was saying the same thing. They're like, hey, like when did this happen? Like she's suddenly all fat and stuff, like really fat, like total opposite. And you know, and then but at the same time she's still super hot, and everybody was saying that is A, and then B, like, how'd she get so fat so quick? When did that happen? And then, damn, she's still hot, actually. Like,
yeah. When she was thin, she kind of reminded me of, like, this chick that I just pulled up, fucking Victoria Ray Black, who basically just disappeared off of the face of porn. I think she basically made her money and then just, like, got out of the business.
Cashed her chips in.
Yeah, cashed her chips in, and then like basically bought out like as much shit as she could, so she wasn't as much of a visible entity online. But pretty attractive chick too.
In that picture, she looks pretty good.
Yeah, but she kind of, I mean, they definitely didn't look alike. They definitely don't look alike, but like kind of has that same sort of like vibe or whatever. You're all like right in front of the mic now. So you're gonna be like, yeah, see, exactly. Just you breathing on the mic just fucking maxed out that fucking the sound wave.
I was waiting for it to be like, dude, you broke this or that. It's like $400 equipment. Like,
no, I probably paid like $250 for like this MIDI interface and this microphone and like this headphone trio.
Yeah.
So I can definitely like. I need to, like I was saying, I need to get like a mixer and like a couple more mics, so fucking...
That way when I fucking annihilate that shit on accident with something small that I wouldn't think would fuck it up, I'm gonna owe my life. Like...
Well, no, it's just more of like, so I could have like the levels right where, you know, no matter how close you get to the mic, you're not gonna be like that particularly loud or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can scream into a microphone, and eventually, like, it might break, you know, I mean, with...
Because of screaming into it?
Yeah, because, like, basically, like, a microphone, depending on what kind of microphone it is, the diaphragm is sometimes made out of, like, film, like tape, you know, like audio tape,
Yeah.
I think, if I remember right. Sometimes there's, like, paper diaphragm, sometimes it's, like... magnets and like two like basically like metal washers that are sensing the vibration through electromagnetism. Okay. And I think that's what this one is. But anyway, I mean at some point if you're like just literally like mouth right next to the mic and you're screaming into it, like, or if you've got like a guitar amplifier or something like that and you got cranked up to 10, you might eventually break that microphone if it's like right next to the guitar amplifier. But it's like just one of those things where it takes a while. I
didn't know that was like, because I mean a microphone and a speaker are essentially the same, like, I mean they're the same like mechanism, right? I mean basically. It's kind of just like in and out though.
Yeah, one's in, one's out. And then there are distinct differences in their construction.
That's what I meant, is just the construction. But like, as far as what's the difference?
They kind of employ some of the same technologies as far as like sometimes like magnets and shit like that.
Electromagnetism and all that.
Right.
That's what I've taken those both apart and like they kind of look the same, but.
Right. Let's see. Pulling up a picture of a speaker cone here. You got like voice coils, dust cap. I think the dust cap is just to make sure that it doesn't get the voice coil all dusty. The magnets to sense like the vibration, or I guess to emit the vibration in a speaker coil, I guess. And all this other shit that essentially allows it to project sound. Whereas a microphone... Come on. Allow me to type, you piece of shit. Sound waves go in, right? I mean, again, you're dealing with magnets and coils and diaphragms and stuff like that, but it's just more of like the signal flow. And then once you get into like microphones, like I was saying, like you can have all kinds of different diaphragms, like not just like washers with like voice coils, but like you can get like film, I think, if I remember right.
What part is the diaphragm?
The diaphragm, like if you can look at this microphone right now, you see how like like there's like that mesh cage kind of outside it, right?
Yeah.
But inside it's like that circular disc.
Yeah.
That's the diaphragm.
Okay, but like looking at that, like there's the coil, there's the core, there's like the conular part. I don't know what that's called. That's usually made out of like the plastic or cardboard material.
Yeah, again, you're like right in front of the mic.
Sorry. But yeah, like, is that whole thing the diaphragm, or is the...
Yeah, this... Let's see. This, like, little section right here is the diaphragm itself. Well, no. I'm sorry, no. This little section, yeah, I guess is, like, the principal parts of a microphone. Everything else is, like, essentially the handle and, like, the cage. But, like, the principal parts of...
Okay.
The microphone.
Okay.
Are in this diagram.
I thought you were talking about maybe like a component of like one of those principal parts, one of those specific parts, like the coil or not like the actual like the heart of the.
Yeah, no, I think the magnet, the coil, and all the other shit would be fine, but whatever. Sometimes like some diaphragms are, like I was mentioning, some of the more sensitive materials will eventually like go. I think this microphone might be like more durable because it's like a lower quality mic, so they might just not use like necessarily high end parts, but something that's gonna last for a while.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you work the diaphragm long enough at a high enough volume, it may, like emphasize may, eventually go.
I mean that makes sense. It's just weird to me because I've never really thought about that or figured that. It's crossed my mind, but I've never actually figured that you could blow basically you're blowing the microphone, right? Just like you blow a speaker. I mean,
yeah, a lot of people don't think about that all the time, and it's, you know, like one of those things where it's like most of the time if you get like the standard quote unquote microphone, a Shure SM58 is like about like $100. But, like, you can beat the shit out of those things, like, drop a million times and stuff like that, and, you know, they'll work. You know, eventually, like, they'll go out. There's been plenty of times where, like, I've rented a microphone out to somebody at the music store, and, you know, comes back and it's like, oh, man, fucking, it was working and then it didn't work, and you test it out because to make sure they're not bullshitting you or whatever, right? And it's like, yeah, no, I tested it earlier, like, yesterday, and it was working, and now all of a sudden it's not working. And, you know, they could have broke it, maybe they could have dropped it, and if I can finally, that was like the last time it could have been dropped and it just went out. I mean, who knows, but the point is, like, they eventually go. It's just not one of those things that people often think about.
Yeah, it's just weird because it's the same thing basically, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah. See what else we got here on the agenda. All right, so
I'm gonna have a cigarette real quick.
Yeah. We transitioned like way off from like beautiful girls and all that stuff to fucking. But
yeah, we should stick with that one. I was just getting a few gems of wisdom on the whole from your experience with like mics and all that. I thought that was interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll come back to the beautiful girls in a second when you're done with your cigarette. But we're gonna segue on into my third bit here. Where I just kind of analyze what's going on the street. It might not take very long, but, you know, whatever. Let's see. Alright, so The idea is that basically, like, I live on a shady section of Capitol Hill here, beautiful Summit Avenue, kind of near Clever Duns, the known weirdo bar in town, and basically that's the intersection of Summit and Howe. And some nights I'll see like all kinds of weird shit, like like there's police, on this street regularly enough. There's like a couple halfway houses here. And so, like, some nights it gets a little interesting outside. Some nights you got, like, crackheads outside, like, just screaming random shit. It's gotten to the point where, like, an old roommate and I were joking about, like, buying BB guns and, just, like, sniping these, like, crackheads out here who are just being hella loud and disruptive. But there was one story of, I guess, like, this guy who was, like, crip walking, like, literally all the way down the street for, like, a good, like, 50 yards or something like that. He just straight crip walked the street. You get interesting stuff. Right now, it seems like a quiet night. It's a Sunday night. Normally, like, Saturday night's a little bit more poppin', but, nothing going on outside right now. Not even the usual characters like the guy standing outside, usually like almost at all hours of the day smoking a cigarette. I describe him as a stout, bearded, elderly gentleman. I think some people have called him Bruce, but I don't know. Whatever, it's not a big deal. He probably would be like, "Man, don't say my name and shit," but I'm going out there with it. Yeah, it just seems like a bunch of fucking dude bros and broettes out here tonight, fucking just doing their thing, for a Sunday night. No news really to report in Capitol Hill as far as I can tell. I mean, it seems like a relatively quiet time of the year. If you're out there in Capitol Hill land and you're thinking to yourself like, man, fucking what's up with all the gay people? Let's go beat up some gay people or some cross-dressers. Go fuck yourself, obviously. I mean, it seems like it's been on the rise, or at least getting a little bit more media attention as far as that thing goes. Where known drag performers or whatever, like, are getting assaulted, or even gay people too. So, keep Capitol Hill gay. Personally, I'm not gay, but keep Capitol Hill the way it is. Quit being a douchebag.
I'm not gay.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I mean, you remember you were getting shit from, like, what's that dude's name, James or whatever, for fucking living up here.
They gonna turn you gay, dog. Give me a week, man. They gonna turn you gay.
Right. This black dude who's fucking just Antoine's associate or
old guy from the South.
Yeah,
so
basically.
He's old school.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, he's not really a bad guy, but he's kind of just old school mentality. Like, just kind of carries that with him, Like,
yeah.
He tries to, get along with people and everything. But
what you got there? Is that a shot?
No, that's your clone.
Oh, okay. You're just like coveting it. Like, what's the smell?
Yeah.
I guess before we transition back into the beautiful girls segment, do you have anything to add to what I call the dope man segment? Like, have you seen any crackheaded sort of tomfoolery going on out there lately?
Not out here, but when I was in downtown earlier, there was, of course, like, it was weird. I was standing waiting for the express bus or whatever, and to work. And fucking, there's this guy behind me, like, just screaming this fucking, I don't know, it's just, like, he was rapping and everything, which is cool, but it was just, like, really, like he was screaming out the top of his lungs, like, he was, like, I don't know where he was going with it, like, I don't know, it was just really fucking, but anyways, like, it sounded really pissed off, and, like, it wasn't, like, rapping because he likes rapping. It was, like, he was, like, doing it, like...
I'm rapping because it's my job out here on the streets, dog.
Like, I don't know. I guess he was just a crackhead, but, like, he didn't seem like one of those, like, serious crackheads where they're, like, muttering idiots. But, like, he was, like... Seemed fairly normal guy, but he was just, like, kind of borderline flipping out. I don't know how to word it, but you know, it was kind of wild, but not necessarily crazy. But
what part of town were you in?
It was on right in front of the McDonald's and the
3rd and Pike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And,
I mean that's to be expected for that area.
Yeah, and then like, but the funny thing is he starts doing it, and then somebody like on the block to the left starts doing the same exact thing, and then like 2 minutes later, somebody on the block to the right starts doing it, and like they're all three like back and forth. Like I was like, what the fuck is this like a like?
They must have all had the same crack.
Yeah, or like crazy like crack-induced rap battle from block to block. You know, like,
dude, that's a crazy idea. Like,
Yeah.
a fucking crackhead's getting in a crackhead rap battle, but like over which block? Like literally which city block?
Yeah, it's like kind of like the gangs on blocks or whatever, except it's rap battles, but
But crackhead rap battles.
yeah, like turf battles or whatever. But fucking yeah, and then like 5 minutes after that, the craziest wheelchair guy I've ever seen, and he was crazy, like flip fucking shit eating crazy crackhead, like. But he's like this old guy, and he's coming by out of the McDonald's. It looked like, and he's like, "Something about they won't let me use their bathroom and fucking yada yada," you know, and like.
Right, they got locks on their bathroom doors.
Yeah, and motherfuckers, like, and then he goes up the guy, and like that was rapping behind me, all crazy, and fucking the buddies that guy was with, and he's like, call me a bitch. He's like, I ain't no bitch. Call me a bitch. Do something. And he's like these guys, like they looked like the type that would like kick the shit out of somebody on the drop of a hat, you know, and like
Sure.
like just to get a laugh, you know, and fucking. He was like 60 something and like scrawny little wheelchair guy, fucking shit ass crazy. He's just like getting in their faces, like he's right there up to him with his wheelchair. He's like, do it, call me a bitch, like he's like, motherfucker. Like, they're just standing there like, holy shit, man, this guy is crazy. Like,
Wow.
I'm not gonna punch a wheelchair guy, but like almost.
Man, speaking of, like I know that's a what do you call it? A taboo topic, punching somebody in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
But like, man, I was so close to doing it one day. I don't know if you remember this kid from middle school, but he was in a wheelchair, and like he was always like with like these douchebags, like who were like backing him up, and like he'd always like ride the pedals for the feet like into your shins, and he'd be like, do something, fucking faggot, bitch, you know, like. And like it got to the point where like I shoved him one day, and they're like, man, you can't fucking do that. I'm like, what the fuck? No, what do you mean I can't do that? He just fucking, he's knowingly fucking riding his pedals into my fucking shins, dude. Like he's starting something.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking stand for that shit. But like I guess like a school teacher like walked up at just the right moment before I like was about to like get really fucking froggy with it. But man, like I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, because then it's like you get into the whole like that kind of is similar to the whole like to hit a woman or not to hit a woman, and it's like, you know, like I mean there's some women that are like, what if it's like a bodybuilder chick, you know, and then you're like some scrawny guy with like dying of AIDS or some shit, you know, like, and I mean, where do you draw the line when, you know, and I mean,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's like I remember when I was little, and there was a kid that was deaf or whatever, and like a lot of people would be like, oh, you fucking with that, but what does being deaf have to do? That's not like, I mean, as far as like, you know, but a lot of people would like.
I mean, sure, it's a disability, but it's not like.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, half my body's like crippled or whatever.
Yeah. And then there was Jake in middle school that had Tourette's, but he was a fucking asshole. You know, it wasn't his Tourette's that was making him an asshole. He was genuinely
he was just an asshole
with Tourette's.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "Fuck you, bitch," and like.
Was that the Tourette's or was that
Yeah, it wasn't. Even if it was the Tourette's, it's like you could tell he was genuine about that shit.
Yeah.
Like he was really calling you a bitch, whether he could help it or not. Like it's like, I mean, fucking. So kids would get pissed at him, and like, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, I don't think that really like. I don't know. I would just personally like that's like I wouldn't do it just because I don't feel good about that, or I wouldn't feel good about that, and like really if I want to punch somebody or fucking like hurt them, then it's like I kind of want to have the possibility of or the hopes of coming out of it and being able to like raise my fists and be like I did it, you know, not like they pissed me off and they were like a little weakling and I fucking broke their fucking eye socket or whatever, you know, like I want it to be like fucking somebody that was actually a challenge and like actually, you know. Whereas, like, because there's lots of chicks, like my sister, for example, she'll pick a fight with a dude, and there's plenty of dudes that have fucking thrown their fist up to her, you know, or with her, and fucking, at the same, on one hand, I'm like, I hear you, like, I don't blame you for going there with her, because she really got in your face and was like, you know,
fucking do it.
Yeah, punching you and, like, you know, taunting the shit out of you, yada yada. But at the same time, like, me as a guy, like, that's gonna make me feel kind of guilty on some level, and then on top, whether I should feel guilty or not, whether they asked for it or not. But the point is that I want to come out of there with some sort of sense of feeling rewarded, you know, if I'm gonna get into a fight with somebody. I'm gonna be like they tried to rob me and I fucking stabbed him or whatever, you know, like.
Well, to me, that's what the situation was like, okay, so he's like, you know, like, again, he's obviously disabled, not just like wheelchair bound, but also like, you know, like he's a little slow too, but I'm like, he's knowingly like going around like, and he's done this to, like, I've seen him like all around the yard doing this to like a bunch of other people too, like somehow he got the bad idea like with these douchebags that he's with that like, you know, oh, I can just roll around and boss people around and bully them or whatever, and fucking just because like I've got a disability and like these guys are backing me up and all that shit, right? But it's like he knows what he's doing, but he's just got like, you know, I mean, even if knowingly like maybe he's got like the wrong idea and he's easily influenced the wrong way, but yeah, it was, for me, it would have been more like, okay, relating to like what's the reward in it. The reward is I made my point, and like
either justice or teaching a lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, you know, like the sense of like, for me, it would have been teaching a lesson, which is like, listen, I understand you got a disability, but you know, just because you're in that position doesn't give you any more or less right to fucking push people around.
Yeah. And that's not going to get you very far.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, acting like a shithead just because you can get away with it for the most part, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's where I was coming from with it. I mean, that would have been the only justification on it. And, yeah. But yeah, totally with you on the, like, yeah. Otherwise, it's just like, you know, I don't really feel like that was really called for, but sometimes people push you there.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily, like, my thing was, it might be called for, I mean, to a degree, by, like, as far as, like, yeah, they're a person like anybody else, you know, like, if I went up and punched you in the face for no reason, or if I'm, like fucking started shit with you on some serious level, you know, you'd punch me in the face, or punch me right back, you know, but
right.
Just because my legs don't work or whatever, and I go up to you and I punch you in the fucking dick or whatever, like, does that make it any less, you know, like, meaningful that I just fucking assaulted you in a serious way, you know? Like, I mean...
Right.
Yeah, you kind of do have the right to fight back, regardless of where I'm coming from is, like, you know, if I'm in a wheelchair or whatever, you know? Like,
yeah.
Or what my disposition or, you know, is. But, you know, my thing is I just, like...
Yeah, I'd rather not.
I'm not gonna get anything out of that, you know, other than like brief satisfaction, you know, like you know, shut that guy's mouth pretty quick, like. But you know, other than that, it's not like, yeah, I just kicked the shit out of like this guy that was, you know, a serious threat or anything like that, you know.
Yeah, definitely not on the same level. All right, segueing back into the Beautiful Girls skit. I wanted to know who else you had on deck besides Carmela Bing.
And as far as like, I think these two topics intersect. If it's a really hot, beautiful chick, you should never hit him, because then that's one less pretty chick in the world, you know.
Temporarily. I mean, I'm not saying, okay, again,
no.
I'm not saying you should hit women at all at any time unless it's like I've said this before, where it's like, you know, if she's assaulting you, you know, and your life is in danger, then it's totally justified.
Ugly women are open game though.
I ugly or hot, I treat them the same in that regard.
I'm fucking with you.
No, I know. You're totally joking. I know, but just for the record, for the listeners out there, just so I'm totally clear, it's like, if my life's in danger or if I'm being assaulted and my life's in danger, then I think it's justified.
If me and Khalifa assaulted you, would you?
Yeah, I mean, hot or not, I would still be like, you know.
You would just plow into her face.
If my life was in danger,
just break her fucking glasses.
And she was assaulting me. But anyway, so like, who else did you have on deck?
Who else? Okay, so Carmela Banks, she's pretty fucking hot. Even though she's fat now, she's still pretty hot. Actually, no. Equally as hot.
Just the way you said that was funny. Just like, I'm kind of mumbling through it.
Feeling my mustache. Okay, so, who else is it? I'm stuck on porn stars, but there's just like a...
Rattle a few off. Fuck it. Who cares?
Ooh, what's her name? Lori Vargas.
Who? Lori
Vargas.
I'll have to look her up.
She's like the queen of bushy Mexican poon.
Alright.
No, I'm serious. She's super hot and fucking... Yeah.
God damn it. Fucking I hate Google Safe Search.
I don't know. I think that's kind of like the geeky glasses thing. Like, it's kind of like something that throws, like, a typical 10 off a little bit and just kind of makes them something a little bit different, but still on the level of 10. You know?
Gotcha.
Like hairy pussy, geeky glasses, fucking, trying to think of other things that are just kind of out of the norm. But,
This chick?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, totally.
She's got a hot accent, too.
I'm just not familiar with anything of hers. Yeah, you're not kidding. Bushy.
And she has anal in, like, fucking 90% of her stuff she does, so that's cool.
People's priorities, yes.
No, it's like what Brett used to say is that a porn video isn't complete unless it has an anal scene.
Like Kristen and Brett?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know. For me, it's the money shot. It's not complete, like, until it's the money shot. Whether or not there's anal, I don't know. I guess that's a good point, though. Who else did you have on deck?
Let me see here. Then there's Kinky Joe, because she can fit like half a traffic cone up her ass.
What?
Yeah, look up Kinky Joe.
Joe.
J-O. She's like this, like, she's like Ukrainian or Russian or Eastern European or some shit.
Okay, I got you.
Have you seen that chick?
No, I haven't seen it. She doesn't do it for me necessarily.
That one with the Asian chick in the red cap, dude. She gets like elbow deep in her ass.
No kidding.
No, dude. She's like skinny like a supermodel, so she's like pushing her fist up like this, and you can see her fist, like all the knuckles and everything through her stomach, through the outside of her stomach.
Wow.
And she's just like laughing it off like it's no big deal, like it's nothing to her.
No shit. Look at that though. I mean, like the image is like elbow deep.
Yeah, literally.
Wow, this other image here too, like elbow fucking deep.
She does. That's her specialty. That's what she does.
Wow. Dude. All right.
Like literally, like a half a traffic cone up her ass, like no problem. It's like, and she's like a fucking pencil. Like.
Okay. I gotta see the traffic cone. Wow. All the way down to like what, the first stripe? No.
She can go further than that. Wait, she can get to like the
stripe?
She can get to like the second stripe.
Damn, dude. Wow. Dude. Oh man. Anyways, and then all these like prolapsed penis pictures. Yeah. All right. Anybody else before we call it a day on the podcast?
I think here. Genevieve Jolie, because she's just like super hot.
Oh yeah, huh? Genevieve. I don't know. I always spell that name wrong. Viev. Jolie. Oh yeah. As much as I like Latinas, she doesn't do it for me as much as others do.
Yeah.
I don't
know. She's got that kind of like, I don't know. She seems kind of like a bitch is the thing, like snobby. Like, I haven't seen any of her, like, her actually speak, but, like, when I'm watching the pornos or whatever with her in it, I'm just like, she kind of has that, like, bitchy vibe. Like, I'm not saying she probably is one or anything like that, but, like, she kind of has that vibe.
Word.
Which makes her hotter, in my opinion.
I could see instances of that, like, where it's, like, some of those, like, quote-unquote revenge porn kind of concepts where it's, like, they're banging her out and they're fucking, like, just rough sexing her, just, like, oh, fuck you, bitch, and then they just all fucking just jizz on her and leave, that kind of shit, like, it would add to it just because you're like, okay, like, yeah, fuck this bitch, like, she got what she deserved or whatever, like, that kind of, that element to it. Even though, like, not all porn has to be like that and, et cetera, whatever.
And then there's also, like, what I was going for is more like, for example, there's this one scene that I saw of her where there's this dude that's, like, eating her out and, like, she doesn't do anal scenes, right? She's one of those chicks and fucking that
Sure.
You will never find an anal scene ever. And fucking maybe when she turns, like, 40 or something, she's about to drop out of the business and wants to rekindle the, her career or whatever for like another year or whatever the fuck. But yeah, fucking dude starts going down a little further and starts licking her ass, and like you can see her getting irritated, and she kind of like subtly calls him out, and she's like, "Are you gonna fuck me?" and yada yada, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and like goes to it, but like it's kind of one of those things where she kind of like tore him up for a second, like
yeah,
like she kept the act going, but at the same time, like you could tell if you're really
like in the business or like really there, you're like, oh
yeah, like he kind of pissed her off and she called him out on it mid-scene, like
yeah. And they've got it like in the final cut.
Yeah,
I've seen shit like that. Like that's sometimes like the funniest shit, like when like the performers like calling some dude out like mid-scene or whatever and they keep it on the final cut.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with that we're gonna call it a day on the podcast. I'm Morgan. Antoine, do you want to say any final things here?
That's all I want to say, bros.
All right. Morgan and Antoine checking out of the podcast. Have yourselves a good one. Go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.